Okay. So if you know me already, that's amazing. But there's some students that are new, some they don't know me very well. So I'm just going to start off with a little introduction about myself. So I'm Zainab. I studied bioengineering at KCL, but about 5 years ago, I accidentally kind of just fell in love with teaching. I used to do it on the weekend for a really long time, and then I've been doing tutoring for ages as well. So I mainly teach maths and physics, but my main focus is trying to make lessons feel really clear, make them make sense, without the sort of stress and things going on. And then outside of teaching, which is just a bit more interesting about me, is that I really like working on marketing projects. So I've done some big marketing projects with different companies. I'm into gym and weightlifting, and I also have lived abroad for about 2 years. So, if you're new here, you're welcome to sort of ask me any questions as well. So what we're going to look at is firstly common challenges at GCSE, which some of you have wrote in the chat already, how to set goals, how to manage your time, how to sort of note take, actively listen, how to make your study environment really productive, and also physical and mental well-being, as well as parental support and guidance as well. So, if you didn't know already, your first maths exam is actually May the 14th. So you've just got over 100 or so days. So
100
just
days
over
to your maths exam. 100 days.
100 days, just over till your actual maths exam. But the first exam is on May the 4th. Yeah. So it's really, really not long. And obviously GCSEs are they're an important part of your academic journey. So they'll help you shape your A levels or the courses that you could take for A levels and what you're going to do at university, all these career paths. So obviously I want you to remember that they don't define your worth at all, but they're going to have a massive impact on what you do later on. So it does make a big difference if you get into those right study habits, manage your time, set your goals. And by the end of this particular session, I want you to walk away with just one or two strategies that you can actually start using this week. Okay? So we've done this already. So Yusuf said that procrastination. Yep, that's a massive one. Motivation, consistency for studying and revision. Yep, amazing. So these are common challenges, and here's a couple more. So these come up every year. So you've got increased academic pressure, you've got a heavier workload, stress and anxiety, family problems. If you've got part-time jobs as well, yeah. One thing that I really struggled with was balancing like my schoolwork with all the other things that I had going on in my life. So it's really, really important that we can identify and then work on these issues that we're having. Another thing is setting goals. So if you're currently at a grade, let's say you're at a grade 5 in a subject, and your goal is, okay, you're going to get a grade 9. Of course, that is possible, but look at the time frame that you have. Do you have just 3 months, or are you in year 10 and you've got time to make that work? So, setting goals is really, really important, and you've got to make sure that your goals are smart. Okay, what that means is that they're specific. So, what exactly do you want to improve in? How are you going to measure your progress over the next 3 months or so? Is it realistic as well? Yeah, so are your goals realistic? And what subject is like the most important for you? So you might want to do biology for A level, so that's your most important subject. How are you going to write that goals? So, for example, I could say I want to move from a grade 5 to 7 by the end of year 11, and I'm going to revise 3 times a week for 1 hour a day by completing past paper questions, and I've completed all the content. So that's how specific I want you to be with your goals. Okay, set a time frame. So what I actually want you to do right now is I want you to write down just for one subject, one little goal, but make it very specific, very measurable, very time bound. And then if anyone wants to share that goal, I'm happy for you to unmute and share or put it in the chat. Okay, so I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Okay, so yeah, do one practice paper a day at least. That's very that's good. Try to make it a bit more specific. So for what subject? So like I want to move from this grade to this grade in this subject, and I'm going to do this much revision a week, and I'm going to do it through past papers. Yep, Omar, past papers are better. Yeah. Okay, the next thing is setting goals. Um, so the next thing is looking at time management in those goals that you're setting. So time management, again, this is something that I think everyone in in all aspects of life is looking and working on. But having a weekly schedule is really, really important. So you're going to have a schedule and you'll put in your school, you'll put in any part-time work, meals, your free time, your family commitments, and then you're going to start filling it out, your revision into that as well. Okay? So after the session, I'm going to actually share a blank schedule and you guys can just fill it out. And the second thing is using the Pomodoro technique. Now, Pomodoro technique is really, really, really useful because our brains, they're not designed to focus for hours and hours. So if you're doing 3 hours a day and not taking any breaks and you think you're doing something good, honestly, you're not because your brain is not designed to work for that long without a break in between. Okay, so I would highly recommend for it to be a 30-minute session and then a 5-minute break. But if you guys can work and focus really well for 45 minutes or for an hour, go for it. But make sure that you have a little break. So go away from your phone in that break, stretch, walk, get some water. There's also loads of timers like Forest, Pomodoro. There's a bunny one that's really famous these days as well. So use a timer to time what you're doing. And before your study sessions, you need to have a plan. Okay. So if you're doing a 30-minute study, you could do a plan like the following. So you're going to, for the first 5 minutes, skim through your notes. Then you're going to watch a short video on that particular topic, and then you're going to summarize what you've learned. Okay. Here's a 45-minute example, and then you've got a 1 hour example as well. Okay. So this is how you can plan out your study sessions, but please do not go for longer than an hour without a break. Okay. So we're not going to do this now, but this is like an example of a field timetable. So you've got your school hours in, your revision, your extracurriculars, and so on. So you're going to do the same thing. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about is how to note take. So good notes are important. A lot of people say that there's no point of making notes, but I think making good notes, especially early on as you can, they're going to save you time later on. So the Cornell method, this is great for science. You've got your main notes, you've got your summarized notes at the bottom, then you've got your questions on the side for each topic, and then mind mapping is really, really great as well. So these are important to do. And the more early on that you can have your pack of notes ready or flashcards or anything that you're doing, the better it is. And now, where you study also matters more than you think because your brain is going to link places with certain behaviors. So, if your bed is where you relax, your brain will just always try to relax there. So, if you've got a desk, a quiet space, good lighting, having comfort, but just not too much comfort. These are all things that are going to make a big, big impact on your study session as well. So I've said a couple of things, but if you guys can write in the chat any more things that would make an effective or an ideal study environment, that'd be great. Yep, you got a clean space, an isolated area. Yep, a quiet space. Good. So a quiet location, comfortable sitting, lighting and temperature, minimizing distractions, putting your phone in the other room. So, or having one of those block apps on your phone, and establish a really clear study routine so that your brain knows exactly when it's study time each day, an organized desk and an organized set of supplies as well. Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at how we learn now. So there's two types of learning that we do. There's passive learning and there's active learning, and this is really, really important. So passive learning is when information is going into your brain, but your brain is not really doing much with it. So if you're watching YouTube videos, you might be feeling really, really productive, but that's a form of passive learning. Reading your notes, highlighting through your whole textbook, or just listening to someone just explain, 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 and your brain is taking that in. But the problem is that it's not going to stay in your long-term memory. So you might finish a video and you might think, oh, I've got everything in that video. But if you get asked to explain everything, that's where it starts getting really tricky because your brain's just taking it in, but you weren't actively learning. So some forms of passive learning are really good, but honestly, it's not the best form of making things stick in your long-term memory. And that's where active learning it comes in. So this is when you feel the discomfort of the learning. And that's actually a good sign because your brain is working harder. So when you have the choice between trying a really hard maths question or you just want to watch a maths video, you would want to watch the maths video because you just have to sit back and it's almost like a bit more of a boring version of watching Netflix. But if you're actively engaged and answering a really hard maths question, you probably won't want to do that as much, but that's going to benefit you more. So that will, answering questions, solving hard problems, explaining ideas to other people, teaching someone else. These are ways that we're going to store information in our long-term memory. Okay. This next thing as well, you might not think, oh, like, how does this kind of relate to GCSEs? This is probably like a bit more primary school, but trust me, it makes a big, big difference. So we need to remember that some people remember or learn things best by seeing them. Some people learn things best by doing them. Some people learn things best by hearing them. Okay. So it's understanding how you learn is going to help you to revise more effectively, stay focused for longer, and feel less stress. So most of us are visual learners. So 65% of the population is going to learn things best by seeing the information like diagram, colors, structures, like different structures and layouts. So this is why some students will like make really pretty notes, and that's the best way of them learning things. Okay. So for this, flashcards works really well. Mind maps, post-it notes, posters. Again, watching YouTube videos and then turning them into really nice visual notes. And then an important thing for visual learners is that visual distractions are going to really, really have an effect on your focus. So things like your phone or like your whole gaming setup or the TV is going to really distract you more than it will distract other forms of learners. Okay. And then you've got kinesthetic, which is a small part of the population. So this is when you learn best by doing things. So like you enjoy sports and hands-on activities. And GCSEs unfortunately do involve a lot of just sitting and memorizing facts, especially for your maths and science. But you could for this you could still sometimes move around a bit when you're revising or use like models and different layouts and things. And then lastly, you've got auditory learners, and they would pick up things really quickly through listening to them. So you might actually really benefit from YouTube videos, contrary to what I said earlier. But if you're an auditory learner, you're going to listen through like revision podcasts. There's loads of them out there. Re-listening to like a recorded lesson or watching video is going to really help you. But you need to make sure you're revising somewhere quiet where there's not a lot of background noise because that's going to really distract you. Okay. So three things that you should always think about when you're choosing how to revise. You should look at your learning style. Um, you should also look at the type of topic or question that you're tackling. So maths and science often need more practice questions, but languages you'd benefit more from like speaking and repetition and hearing things. And then you'd need to adapt it to the context. So are you going to revise alone or with others? Is it quiet or noisy? Am I at home or in a library? And so on. Okay. And again, these are now, I'm coming on to some high impact study strategies. So you've got flashcards, which are really, really powerful. You've got, so with a flashcard, I would put the definition and then on the back you'd have so you'd write like diffusion. On the back, you'd have the definition of diffusion, which is the net movement of particles from a high concentration to a low concentration. Mnemonics are really good. In chemistry, you've got some mnemonics for remembering the reactivity series. So our brains love patterns. So try and use mnemonics in all these ways to remember things as well. Then you've got concept mapping. So that's basically how you organize information to show how ideas link together. So if you take out a key concept and then you relate all the words to it. So if you take photosynthesis, we can say, okay, it requires light, water, carbon dioxide. It produces glucose and oxygen. It happens in chloroplasts. And you would link it to, let's say, respiration. Okay, so concept mapping is really good. We use this a lot in our sessions, and then revision mats as well. So you would take one page summary sheet for a topic, and then you would start filling out all the things that you know for that topic as well. Okay, so that this would encourage your active recall, prevent you from rewriting notes, and it's really good for some like last minute revision and things. And then group study circles. So I've had a lot of parents that are a bit wary about this because sometimes it can be not beneficial as well, which I agree with. But sometimes students work really, really well together. But in that case, it would need to be a small group. You'd have your phones away. You'd have someone like you'd need to designate roles to each other. So one person's going to do this, one person's going to do this, and then you're going to try and do short sessions and stay focused. But it's really common for study sessions to also turn into social time, or one person's kind of doing everything. So you need to see if that works for you. And then you've got peer teaching, which is really important. So this really helps a lot of people, and this could even be with family members where you get up and you just try and explain a concept to someone else. For science, this works great. And then you've obviously got mock assessments. This is going to help you so much. It's one of the most important ones at this stage. So especially if you're in year 11, because mock assessments, they're going to build your stamina for the exams. Because exams are not just about knowing content. And I know people that know the content so well, but they won't do great on exams because you have to concentrate for such a long period of time. You have to think clearly under so much pressure. You have to manage tiredness and fatigue because you've got so many you'll have packed in just 1 week. So if you do these time mock simulated practices in different areas of the house, or you might go to the library and do one, or go to a coffee shop and do one, that's going to really help you. It's going to also, timing it is going to help you improve your time management, how to pace your exams. Some people finish really quickly, but some people take a bit more time. Um, and it's also going to help you feel less anxious for your actual exams. But with the mock papers, what's more important than actually doing them is going through them. So it's better that you do one and go through it in detail than you do three mocks but don't go through them in detail. So when you look through the mark scheme, that is when you need to see exactly how the marks are awarded, what are the command words, how much detail you need as well. And mocks are only useful if you review them properly. Otherwise, they're a complete waste of time. So you can even now, you can even read the examiner's reports, and that will be state in detail where most students struggled. So you need to go through them and you need to spend the same amount of time going through the mock that you did during the mock as well. So that's really important. And another thing is like active reading. So when you are looking at your textbook and you are reading and making notes, you need to actively do it. So not just copying notes and highlighting everything. It's asking questions and pausing as you read, thinking about what exam questions they can ask you around that, and then linking different ideas together. Okay. Now these websites are some really nice like free websites. Some of them are starting to go into like paid versions, but at the moment most of them are free. They're really, really good for revision. So for maths, you've got Hegarty Maths. Corbett Maths has like every single topic has a video, questions, answers. So it's really, really good. Maths Genie as well. And then for science, you've got free science lessons. So this is a guy that does really short videos, um, which I do recommend these videos, but then making sure that you pause them and then you try the physics and maths tutor questions, which is called physics and maths tutor, but has all the sciences and maths. And then you've got BBC Bite Size for understanding topics in a lot of detail as well. Okay, so I'd like you guys now to write down some strategies that you have for managing stress and anxiety in exams. So, sorry, in like during these years. So, what are different what are the different kinds of strategies that you have that you can manage stress during exams? Journaling, doing a martial art, music, drawing. Fantastic. These are really, really good. Yeah, amazing. Very good. So you've got some of these as well. Journaling is definitely one of my favorites. Writing down, writing things down helps me to get out everything that all the different kind of worries, stresses really helps me. We've got continue with outside interests to have a balance 100%. Sport or exercise, stretching or yoga, healthy eating, social support, even having like a laughter break can really help. So watching like a funny videos or a nice TV show, that can really, really help as well. Yeah. And then lastly, how can parents and guardians offer support? So if your parents aren't with you and you want to quickly grab them for this section, that would be good. Or maybe wait a little while. But this is so, so important that the people around us are supporting us through this time. Whether you're in year 10 or 11, or even in year 9, um, having the support helps you so much more than not having it there. So, if people around you can support you in this sort of year, 2 years, it's going to make a big impact and have a big impact on the grades and how you go through it as well. So, firstly, creating a supportive environment. Um, your parents can help by making sure that there's a quiet, consistent space at home, helping there to be less sort of distractions during your revision time, supporting like a regular routine. So making sure that, okay, like dinner time will be at this particular time, so that you can do this much revision before, that much revision after. Another thing is like encouraging them and not pressurizing. This is so important, because a lot of as I've noticed a lot of parents that will pressurize their kids to get a particular grade, and that can sometimes cause more damage than actually, like, you want to encourage them, but you don't want to pressure them too much. So things like just saying things like, "Oh, I'm proud of the effort on all the effort that you're putting in," or "How can I help you today?" And avoiding comparisons with siblings, older siblings, especially that might have achieved amazing grades, or other friends. It can often help so much more and reduce like anxiety and help them do better anyway. You could also help with organization and planning, so helping them to stick to a revision timetable. So being their kind of accountability coaches almost, like, did you do that 1 hour of revision that you had in your plan today? And breaking tasks into smaller steps, checking on the progress as well. And then obviously promoting healthy study habits. So that's where parents can also help a lot. So making sure that they're receiving good, nutritious meals, that that they've got a good sleeping routine. They're balancing revision with rest, because I know some students work so hard and they don't rest. So helping them to balance that, because GCSE students are still young. They are still trying to understand everything and going through so many different things at the same time. And then you've got supporting active revision, not just long hours. Again, this is so important. If your child has just done a 4 hour revision, like after coming back from school, they've just done 4 hours straight, it's not always good to praise that, because it might not have been very active revision. So they might have, for the first hour, focused really well, and then it's just gone down. So the other three or the other two, they didn't have any meaning behind them. So just focusing on the active and smart revision, making them like asking them, can you explain this concept to me? That really helps. And then obviously looking out for stress and well-being. Some stress is normal, too much isn't. So if you're noticing like significant sleep problems or mood changes, or panic, then obviously reassuring them that their GCSEs do not define their worth at all, and they are important, but at the same time, your health is more important, and you have to learn to make that balance. Okay, so you don't need to know the sit. So you need to sort of help them to provide. So you need to provide structure, offer that encouragement and support for them, and then just help with the well-being as well. And you don't need to know all the syllabus or all the content at all, because it's other ways that you're providing the support. Okay, so I've just saw a question already. So what if they have to get a certain grade to get into college? Yeah. Of course, it's so important to encourage them, but at the same time, yeah, this is a difficult one, but you have to find that balance between pressure and encouragement as well. And also every child is different. Some children, they work quite well under pressure. So if you need to pressure them a little bit, that's important. Okay, that's it. So if there's no other questions, then I am happy to stop there. And so how best to balance revision across all subjects. Again, it's really important to have like your priorities. So I have this revision planner actually. So what I would do for this is have like go from top to bottom with my most important subject, and this could be to do with what you're doing at A level. Then you've got your target grade, and then what topics you're going to focus on as well. So when you do this, so you rank your subjects of importance in order, then you can start to like put it into your timetable accordingly, and focus on the ones that you're going to take for A level the most. But then the other subjects like maths and English, they're also really, really important because you have to retake them if you fail. So maths and English are important, but then you've got your A level subjects and these other subjects that you think are more important. So focus on them. And then is it good to go hard on yourself if you have high expectations? Go hard on yourself. What do you mean by that? Because go hard on yourself to the point where you're destroying your well-being. That's not productive at all. But, pushing yourself, that's really important. I've noticed that other subjects, okay, um, can I get back to you with I've noticed that his other subjects are lower. Yeah, I mean when you're consistent with it. Okay, all right. We'll pause there just because I've got to go now. But if you have any other questions, you have my contact number, you've got my email, so you can ask on there. But I've got to go now, and I will be supporting them as well. So I will be like supporting them throughout this time, and we'll be having more of these type of sessions to remind ourselves about like everything that um, the year 10s and 11s are going through at this stage. Yeah. So, all right, I'll stop there and bye.